Taiwan is bursting with heaps of fun places to explore. Join me, Amber Hatfield, as I hit up travel hotspots, soak up some culture, and hunt down hidden gems. Let's go! Hello. Welcome back to Let's Go. The weather is grey and raining today in Taipei, and I'm here reminiscing about my short vacation from a few weeks ago that I took during the Lunar New Year. Oh, I just want those sunny days to come back and get outside and do more activities. I feel like I'm always inside recently, just sitting at a desk, not moving enough. I can't wait for the warmer weather to come back so we can all get outside and be more active. So for this week's episode of Let's Go, it's just me and you. I'm going to talk about my first proper experience of doing SUP during a recent trip that I had to Hualien. So if you're not sure what SUP is, it stands for stand-up paddleboarding. I'm not really sure why it's called stand-up paddleboarding because it's just paddleboarding, and paddleboarding you stand up anyway, but hey-ho, that's not important. Stand-up paddleboarding is basically an offshoot from surfing. So apparently it originated in the land of surfing in Hawaii. But unlike surfing, where you ride on the waves, balancing on the board, paddleboarding is actually where you stand on the board on more of a flat ocean, typically, or flat, calm water. And then you use a paddle to kind of propel yourself forward. So just imagine like a really big surfboard and then a long paddle like what you use for kayaking, but with only one side. And then you stand in the middle of the board and you push the paddle down and back in the water to push yourself forward. So there are different stories of when and where paddleboarding came from and how it became a sport or when it became a sport. Some people say that it might have even started in the 16th century, where surfers would use a paddle to handle their large, unmanageable boards. But recently, it's said to have started on the Hawaiian Islands a few centuries ago, and people back then used these kinds of boards to cross the water from one place to another and to fish from them. So apparently it originally wasn't a sport. But like I said, there's lots of different stories or theories from where this sport actually originated from. In the 50s or 60s, there was some inventions of more modern paddleboards that we know today. And then I think it gained popularity around the early mid 2000s, and you started to see more paddleboards on the market for people to buy. And in recent years, it's gotten really popular. My sister-in-law was taking SUP lessons a couple of years ago in the UK. And I've seen plenty of places offering lessons and SUP experiences here in Taiwan as well. So it seems like a water activity that everyone can get involved in, and it can be done on an ocean, on a river, on a lake. So it's kind of a quite accessible water sport for different people to try. And it doesn't really require waves like surfing does. For a first timer, it probably would be better not even to have any swell or waves, because then it will be easier to balance on the board and you'd be less likely to fall in. Over the Lunar New Year holiday, I went to Hualien, which is on Taiwan's east coast. It's one of the main cities on Taiwan's east coast, but there are tons of things to do, like outdoor activities, when you go to Hualien and stay there. So I went with a group and I tried SUP properly for the first time. I say properly because I had tried it once before when I went on holiday to Okinawa a few years ago. At that time, I hired an SUP board for a couple of hours at the beach and I played on it in the bay. At that time, I was actually really into yoga, and I used to see a lot of pictures and videos online of people doing these yoga poses on stand-up paddleboards. They definitely made it look easier than it is. I remember standing on the paddleboard and thinking like, oh, this is pretty easy, so I can probably try it, and then trying to do like a down dog yoga pose. I didn't really paddle around too much, just kind of stayed in a small area and then played around and ended up lying down and just sunbathing on it. So that was my first experience of paddleboarding. So this is why I said this is my first real experience, because this time I actually tried, going a decent distance and really pushing and standing up the whole time and paddling around. So it was actually pretty difficult. So for this trip, I went with a group of people who are really into SUP and they do it really frequently on the weekends. I was invited by a friend of mine who said that they're going to Hualien to do SUP during the Lunar New Year holiday, and I had some days off work and I had no plans, so I thought, why not join? This is something that I really like about Taiwan, actually, is that I think it's really easy to find people to join a group and go out and do an activity, whether it's through a Facebook group or you join a group of friends or some kind of tour. It seems really easy to join a group of people doing something like hiking or river tracing or anything like that and make new friends and have a good time. I don't know if it would be that easy to just tag along in a group of 5 people that you don't really know in the UK that you'd not met before and, go camping with them and have a great few days. It just seems like it's easy to meet people and people are very welcoming with you, which is nice. So anyway, I was invited by my friend to go with this group of people for a few days camping and doing SUP in Hualien. And I thought, why not? Let's go. For the SUP this time, we didn't do it on the ocean. We actually went to Liutan, which is Liu Lake. Liu means carp. So Liu Lake, and that is outside of Hualien, just south of Hualien. It's a super beautiful lake with mountains in the background, just surrounded by mountains, really tranquil, really peaceful. People go there for camping and picnicking, and you can also rent pedal boats and do boat trips like motorboats that go around the lake. And there's also a 4-kilometer track, like a tourist track around the lake that you can ride bicycles or also walk around the lake as well. And I think you can even hire gliders. Like if you have a guidance trainer, you can go and hire a glider and glide around, and you can see those gliders on the mountains, around the mountains above the lake when you're there. We were super lucky because we got this really sunny day, but with patches of cloud, so we didn't get too hot. If you want to do the water sports on the lake, you do have to register first. I think we gave our ID numbers and information. That's because we brought our own paddle boards. But you can also do tours as well, which you can book through websites like Klook. So when we arrived at the lake, we went around to the jetty area and started inflating the paddle boards. My friend and I were pretty useless at this part because the other 3 had brought the paddle boards and knew what they were doing. So we just tried to help where we could. The boards are actually inflatable. So you know how you put air into an inflatable camping mattress, but they're not soft like that. They're made from a hard material. It's pretty neat because they can fold down into a large backpack size. So even though they're pretty big and they're a little bit heavy, but you could still go somewhere with it even if you don't have a car. You can sometimes see people carrying them on their backs in these special SUP backpacks. You have to inflate them and then you attach the fin on the bottom and then carry the board down to the water. And the boards even have a strap that you attach to your leg, kind of like what you do with a surfboard. So if you fall off the board, it won't float away from you. Because especially if you were using it in the ocean or the river, then if you fell off and the board floated away, it might be pretty difficult against the waves or the current to swim back and get it. So we attach the ankle strap. And then there's also this elastic part at the front where you can clip and tie your things like shoes or snacks or whatever. So I thought it'd be really fun, if you were out on the lake, to bring a speaker, maybe even bring a drink or something, and you can just chill on your board and get in the sun, depending on the vibe you're going for. When you get on the paddleboard, you can start off by kneeling and then paddling along. And then when you get your balance or when you get your confidence, you can try to stand up. It's pretty wobbly to start with, but We were lucky because we were on the lake and the water was quite calm, so it was quite easy to do it. I think I got used to it pretty quick. But one thing that really surprised me was how sore it made my calves. If anyone knows me, they know that I have pretty skinny calves, quite weak calves. I definitely need to train them more. I think SUP is the thing to train my calves. I don't know if it's because you have to try and balance so much and you're really using your toes and your calves to try and keep yourself upright. Wow, I was so sore after just like 5 minutes of this. They were burning. One other thing I would say is that if you're tall, you might get a little bit of a backache if you've not exactly got the form down. I got a backache pretty quick. I think it's because you have to bend down, kind of push the paddle into the water. And that action, if you're not really doing it correctly or using the right muscles, it gets a little bit sore. So I had to take a few breaks and like kneel down for a while and do it. But overall, it was okay. I know you're dying to know whether or not I fell in. And the answer is yes, I did, but on purpose. I wanted to fall in the water because it was hot. You know, I kept trying to get everyone to jump in the water with me and they didn't want to. But I just think it's fun when you're on the water. I always just want to get in it. So I kept trying to wobble my board and there were these motorboats and speedboats going around. And we kept saying like, give us waves, give us waves. Because when the boats come around, if the paddleboard is sideways on to the waves, it becomes like really rocky and really hard to keep your balance. So it's easy to fall in. So one trick is if you don't want to fall in, you can turn your paddleboard so that it's facing the oncoming wave, and then it's much easier to stay balanced. But if you go sideways onto the wave, you're pretty much done for. You're probably going to fall in. So it's definitely fun. Some people were really sweet and they would drive around and we would say, oh, give us waves. And they say, are you sure? And then they would like speed up and go around really fast so we could have some fun. I would definitely encourage anyone, if they haven't tried it, to give stand-up paddleboarding a go. I think it's really fun and it's easy for beginners to get into as well. You can do it anywhere. You can do it on the ocean, on the lake. And like I said, there's loads of places in Taiwan that offer it now. And it's such a good activity for a sunny, hot day to enjoy the summer and enjoy the weather and also be near the water. So yeah, give it a try. And I'll see you next time on Let's Go. Bye.